Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Deep Dive Film School uses the footage only for purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School.
This week, we are going to do a punishment review, our first one, and we thought, what would be the best movie in the world to start with? Mac and Me, people. Let's dive in.
All right, everybody. I'm Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Pulcher. Remember to like and subscribe if you like what you see.
Yes.
Deep Dive Film School. Find us, rate us, do all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Wow. Okay.
This is going to be... So just to give a little bit of backstory, the tiniest bit of context.
Yes.
As we've mentioned many times, we did a audio podcast for about 12 years, movie reviews, very similar to this. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we would do is give each other punishment reviews occasionally to watch and then bring back some sort of salient information about the worst movies possible. So I'm thinking, was it Roller Derby Babes and the Dance-a-thon of Death, things like that?
What was the one with Whoopi Goldberg?
T-Rex. Was it a T-Rex or?
Damn it! No, it's something
in Rex. But it's like she's a cop and her buddy cop is a dinosaur. I'm sure I'll find it and throw it in the edit. But there's been some really bad ones over the years, and what we started doing is having our at-home audience write in and give us different horrible movies to review. There is something very special about small budget foreign action and horror films. The stunts and fight scenes look real because they are real. When someone gets dragged behind a horse, you can bet your ass that hurt. Kick someone off a ledge, better learn how to tuck and roll. And I think we're going to do this every time that we finish a festival, a director festival, rather than doing a 101. We'll be adding in a punishment review.
Yeah, just another segment of the show.
So please give us your worst movies, and we'll choose one from those to do when we do the punishment reviews. Now,
deepdivefilmschool@gmail.com.
That's right. Now, we decided to give ourselves one, and I think this was right around the time that I was editing the Starman episode.
We're like, what can we tie in with John Carpenter that's like campy and weird, but like maybe sci-fi a little?
Kind of like Starman, maybe a little bit, and it was
maybe
like,
something that's exactly like E.T.
Yeah,
like
maybe
I don't know exactly.
A little more McDonald's in it, maybe.
Oh, man.
And we landed on Mac and Me. Now, this is 1988.
Yes, famously known as one of the best worst movies ever, right?
I think it has a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
that doesn't happen often.
It's not surprising, but I don't know. There's some genius here at the same time.
There's a lot of unintended genius, and I think that what I'm going to end up talking about quite a bit in this episode is I realized this while I was watching this movie, is that one of my favorite things, favorite comedy fodders, is when someone tries to make something that's cute and endearing and it inadvertently makes something that's terrifying. That's one of my favorite. If anybody out there is a fan of something like Everything is Terrible. Everything is Terrible is famous at finding the best of this kind of crap. And what it usually is it's usually like a dancing foam dinosaur trying to get kids not to take drugs, or a puppet that's telling kids about Jesus.
And I'm thinking today of Jesus. I think of this man being pierced and torn by the jagged thorns of his crown. And I see my precious Savior as he stumbles and falls to the ground.
He took the blame.
Geraldine and Little Ricky.
I swear, and every time it is the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life. And it's always so funny to me because I'm like, the guys who made this, their hearts were so in the right place. Like they wanted to make something that was
I get it.
lovable.
Oh,
and instead it
got just taken over by multiple aspects.
Yeah, and you're like, and it's skin crawling at the end of it. I love that stuff.
I don't even know where to start.
Let's start at the beginning.
Let's start with,
at the
this
beginning.
is directed by Stewart Raffill.
Yeah.
The director of Mannequin 2 on the Move. And also The Ice Pirates.
And the Philadelphia Experiment.
That's right. And he also wrote Passenger 57.
That's
So he's got some cred.
He's a white guy too, isn't he? So you're like,
I didn't look him up
he
that
is a
close.
white
Yeah,
guy, and
he
I'm
is
like,
actually,
you made
yeah.
Passenger 57?
Yeah.
Charlie, you ever play roulette?
On occasion.
Well, let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on black.
Weird.
That is weird. Yeah.
Let me start with the IMDb description of this movie.
Oh, please
Just
do.
to give you a little taste of what we're in
do
for.
it. Okay.
An alien trying to escape from NASA is befriended by a wheelchair-bound boy.
That's it. That's all you need to say.
I'm roped in already.
Yeah, that's it. You're totally roped in. No, what's interesting, I do want to mention, like, at the beginning, and I just feel like this is one of these things that
Please say this. I don't know what you're going to say, but I hope.
It's one of these things that I think from the beginning made me feel, like, really dubious about, like, I mean, we're going to make fun of this movie, but I was like, R.J. Lewis, who produced Karate Kid and Karate Kid 2. Okay, so this is
Really
right
went
after
downhill, huh?
Right after Karate Kids, he is like riding high. He's like,
in
I
his
can
prime.
do no wrong. I'm in my prime. He had been, before he was a movie producer, he produced marketing stuff for McDonald's. And specifically for the Ronald McDonald House, right?
Yeah.
So these are families where they'll have children that are on disabilities or need medical treatment and things like that. And the family can go and live at the Ronald McDonald House, right? It's a great charity. So he's doing a bunch of work for them, and he's like, they basically said, look, RJ, whatever you do next, you
wanna be a part of
you
it.
have carte blanche to the entire franchise identity of McDonald's.
Yes.
You could do whatever you want. And he was like, you know what we need? It's 1988. We need a new E.T. Ronald McDonald is the most famous figure on the
only
planet.
been
He's more
3 years.
Yeah, he's more famous. He's more famous than Santa Claus, right? Like he's
That's
the most
right.
well-known character. So like, what if we do a new E.T. movie, right? And we're going to rake in all this money, and all the proceeds will go to the Ronald McDonald House, right? So it's great, which is part of the reason why,
go for it.
as a producer, he wanted to find a lead actor who had spinal bifida, right? He wanted a kid who was actually wheelchair bound because he's like, kids from the Ronald McDonald House are going to see this. It's for so many good reasons. And again, it's like what they ended up making. You're like, well, all the Ronald McDonald like identity brand is here, but it's wrapped in the biggest smoking turd on the planet. So it doesn't matter if you're trying to be altruistic.
So let me ask you,
if what at the end of it you made is god awful, it's like it doesn't matter.
First off, I'm going to apologize to Jade Calgary, the
little
fine
boy.
young man
Yes.
who was acting in this movie.
Yes.
Ahead of time, I'm sorry. We were not
fine.
poking fun at you. We were poking fun at the movie.
Yes. You did it. You actually did as good of a job as you possibly could
With what you were given.
with what you were given. Yes.
How much about the McDonald's stuff did you know about that before watching this?
I saw this movie in 1988 at the drive-in on my birthday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And me and my friends loved it. And
Me
apparently,
too. It was something from my childhood, and I remember loving it.
Yeah. And apparently my mom...
It was the new E.T.
My mom said that me and my friends said, this is going to be up for an Academy Award. And she was
I
like,
think
do
I
you
said
guys
that
think
about
so?
Home Alone.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's okay.
Home Alone should be up for an Academy Award if the only other movie
If we're
made
comparing
that
it to
year
this.
is Mac and Me.
Okay, so we get this opening scene with Mac on Mac's planet, which is a desert type of planet.
And apparently there's
it's
only-
like his family.
There's only one family.
Yeah.
There's four
that
aliens.
we see. I mean, it almost seems like there are cavemen in this world.
There's
but,
there's no structures. They don't have homes anywhere.
No,
they
they're
don't
drinking from the ground.
They don't
whatever-
wear clothes.
Yeah.
And they drink from the ground.
Now they look like the Sand People if they were naked and had sex with
Sea monkeys.
and Sloth from Goonies.
Yes, they look so much like
So-
sea monkeys too. They look
Yeah.
like
They
burned
they
sea
have
monkeys.
these weird. They like kind of tilt their heads and go.
Yes. Yeah,
And
they
the whistling,
communicate by
like-
whistling and these big
So weird.
floppy hands, and a satellite lands.
I think they really missed the boat when. I mean, there's
Where did they miss the boat, Pulcher? There is a line
there
of
is-
docks where they missed
I
the
was gonna
boats.
say This movie continuously one-ups itself with its ridiculousness.
Yes.
Like right when I think, like, what am I watching?
You're like, that's the scene. And then you're like, nope, that's the scene.
nope.
Shit, that's the scene.
Exactly. And
Yep.
so, just in retrospect of watching this and comparing it to E.T., the fact that E.T. Was able to talk was a big thing, and even
Yes.
if it was a few words,
Yeah.
there's still some kind of communication. So there's silent stuff that's going on here. We're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and we need some voiceover of some kid going, "I think he's thirsty." And
Yeah.
you're like, "Do you? I don't know what he's doing. I have no
And
idea what he's doing."
I know McDonald's helped pay for this movie, but the magic of Coke in this movie
Yes.
is the way they use it, and they keep feeding it. Even at the end when they find their dying family, they're like, "Go get a drink," and it's 2 Cokes, and
It's
you're like,
2
"Oh,
cans of Coke."
what is? Oh, and they're all awake now, and
Yeah,
hey."
yeah.
It's magical throughout this movie. It comes up so many times.
Yes.
And after I watched this, I went in not knowing this about. I just went in dry from remembering it from my childhood.
Okay.
And I didn't remember McDonald's. I didn't remember Coke in the product placement that is fucking everywhere here.
It's everywhere.
Mostly Coke. McDonald's is a highlight of the scene and the parking lot and everything involved into that, and we will get to that.
Yes.
But outside of that scene, they're really not in the movie a lot from a product placement standpoint. But Coke is throughout this movie. It's
Yes,
kind
and the
of
very first
shocking.
one, it comes in hot. 12 minutes in, we have the mom who
Max steals the Coke from in the van.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, and we have the mom if you remember that actress
The
plays
only recognizable actress in this movie.
She's the super talented woman that Salieri has to give piano lessons to in
yes.
Amadeus.
Yes.
She has like the white hair that's all super curly and tall.
She's a good actress, though.
She's great.
She's in
She's
Wolf of
fantastic.
Wall Street and
Yeah,
stuff.
she's
so,
in a bunch of stuff.
She's a good actress.
But she literally, it's like Coke, and she's like right there, and I was like, all right, I got to make a note of this. I stopped making product placement notes after the musical dance number. In the McDonald's.
To not jump around too much, we get back to the planet here, and a NASA spaceship, if you could call it, that has
like
some of the most high grade plastic feet I've ever seen. It looked like it got bought at Walmart.
Yes.
And
it looks like
it lands here.
It looks like a pool toy,
and it's like taking soil samples or something.
and it has a giant vacuum on this side. I
Yep,
guess,
and
for
it
its soil.
apparently vacuums up these aliens
Now,
somehow.
So this is I would like just for a minute to talk slightly about our aliens' anatomy. First of all, no genitalia to speak of.
No.
Whatsoever. These things are walking around as naked as blue jays.
Yep.
Through the whole thing.
No, not quite the whole thing. Almost.
Almost. That is true. That is very true. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. You're American citizens. You can't walk around.
Let's not spoil.
Oh, we're not spoiling? Okay.
Oh, let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, but in addition to having no discernible genitalia whatsoever, they also seem to have a silly putty consistency to them, but it leaves very quickly.
But it also, when you look closely, it looks like a sweatsuit.
Yes.
That's packed.
And they go limp, and they go like silly putty up into the satellite, and then they blip back out of it later. And then there's some later scenes, very exciting auto accident scene where Mac gets splattered onto the windshield of a car, and then then it's almost like the
after
movie
he escapes.
Well, it's like the movie forgets its own lore. It's like the movie forgets its own mythos, because after the splatter scene, like we never see them like get sucked up and get like squishy like that again. It's like in the first 5 minutes, and then we never revisit that squishiness, when I'm like, that would actually be an interesting thing to have through the rest of the movie, where when Mac's trying to hide, he can like make himself into a puddle or like hide inside of a box or something,
sure.
But he never does it again.
I think we have to give a lot of credit to potentially the worst government bad guys we've ever seen as far as capture goes.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mac is in the middle of gunfire. He has 20 guns on him.
Yeah.
And somehow he still gets away.
Yeah, this stupid little...
And then, I mean,
just
we'll
running.
get to it later when the multiple times that Eric is running away from the cops on his wheelchair.
Yes, if you can...
And them still not being able to catch him. Yeah. Wow, some shitty bad guys here. And just dumbfounded, full speed dumb guys.
Also, I'd like to talk maybe a little bit about their lackluster quarantine rules here, because basically there is a regular French door with like a regular doorknob handle to it that the aliens are able to open and walk through into an office hallway with a garage door at the end of it. And now we're officially out. Thanks a lot, Area 51. You've done a fantastic job. And then you're just out in the suburbs, which is what happens. I do have to say, every time that this adult male alien dad shows up, it is scary on a level of the best horror movies. This is like Pazuzu level scary, of just like when we see him like, whoa, up to the glass at the beginning there. I'm like, that's not... There's nothing endearing.
Do you know what
about
else
these
is
things.
scary?
What's that?
How fucking stupid the adults are in this movie.
Yes, this is very
I mean,
true.
let alone just everyone in this movie is stupid. And we don't even see the family realize that there's something going on until 30 minutes into the movie. And
It's a
you know,
slow
we
burn.
have this family,
Mac and Me has a
and it's a
slow
mom
burn.
and her two sons.
Yes.
Just like E.T.
Yes.
Single mom, two sons. An alien comes and joins their family or whatever.
Such a weird
but the
coincidence.
mom, I mean,
It's such a
skeptical
weird
mom,
coincidence, Adam.
it is. It's so weird that those both happened. Like, I could just see the pitch meeting now. Like, what do we think about, you know, this weird alien coming down?
Like,
He
okay,
bonds
it's
with
like
this little
it's-
boy.
It's like E.T., but what? And they're like, but nothing. It's like E.T. It's just, it's just like
but
E.T.
worse, but way less money.
Way less money.
and it shows.
Here's the catch: no Spielberg. We don't have to pay a director that much money. We'll get the guy who did I don't know
Mannequin
shit.
2 on the move.
Mannequin 2 on the move. Let's get him. I think Mannequin 2 was after
It's
this.
so-
That's
so-
a hell of a thing to say.
Yeah, I know. Whoa, sorry. Don't want to step on the wrong cred there.
Listen.
So Eric and his family, they're moving from Chicago to the big state of California.
That's right.
We don't necessarily know which part of California, but it doesn't matter.
The kids have never seen the house for some reason. This
Yeah,
is
it's
very
a
weird.
surprise house.
Yeah.
Big job at Sears. She has. I don't know if you know, she works at Sears.
Who also had a deal with McDonald's. A lot of the wardrobe in this movie was a short-term McDonald's brand
Wow, they just
specific.
poured themselves out.
Yeah, and so Sears was like a tie-in for that because Sears sold like the Macwear or whatever it was called.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know, it's all over the place.
Oh man, it's funny.
This thing has more labels on it than a NASCAR car.
It does. Oh yeah, for sure. Then we get Debbie, the neighbor girl.
Yeah.
Who's across the street summoning some Indian spirits.
It's very strange.
But that never culminates again.
Yeah. But I
anyways,
guess it's just
but
to show that
sees
she's
Mac.
more willing to like
And
believe in an alien than
For sure, yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And she sees Mac get out of their car and everything, and the hilarity ensues moving forward. They have this kind of undertone that they don't really talk about, that they lost their dad. You know, he has this picture of their family.
Yeah.
And they didn't say this in the movie, but you're goddamn sure that that's why he's in a fucking wheelchair.
Oh.
I guess he has spina bifida, but
The character in the movie doesn't, though.
that's what I'm saying. Yes, but that's why Eric's in a wheelchair. That's my guess.
Oh.
is they lost their dad in it.
A dark backstory. To
That's what I'm saying. This place is genius. This thing is genius. But yeah. So they lost their dad in this car accident
In Chicago.
In Chicago, and
So
that's
they had
why
to get away from the house because it was just such dark
it was
memories.
too sad.
Yeah.
And now he's in a wheelchair. Let's have a fresh new start.
Yeah.
with
You know
this
what I
alien.
wouldn't? You know what I wouldn't do if I was doing that fresh new start? If I had a kid in a wheelchair, move next to a fucking ravine. That's what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't have where literally the back porch leads to like a 25-foot trail
Cliff.
to a drop-off cliff. You know what I would do? I'd baby gate that thing before I let him out of the van. I'd be like, you know what?
He went to look for his friend.
I'd be like,
this thing is
Hold
following
on a
him
minute.
around.
Hold on a minute. I'm gonna go put the baby gate up so that I don't know. You don't fall into the ravine.
Yeah.
Now, so Mac.
So he like what does he do? He kind of like fills their house with a forest.
Yeah.
And the mom's like,
I'm going back to
she's
bed.
like, you guys, why did you do this? Like, she's so stressed out with her new job and like, why would you do this? Like, they're like, we didn't. And he's
Obviously we
like
didn't.
cutting doors and drilling drywall.
And apparently he can kind of control electricity.
Yeah, that's his like power.
Yeah. The TV
and-
turns on,
yeah,
but
the-
it's not plugged in.
And the race car goes without
Yeah,
batteries
yeah.
in it. That kind of stuff. But it's also
They're
just
very
like,
ambiguous powers.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're supposed to be.
it doesn't matter. He's special. Okay, he's special.
Oh, he likes Skittles. Product placement number 2, 20 minutes in.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bag of
he's definitely
Skittles.
Yep.
No. We got to do that again, kid. Make sure the bag is right like that. Right in the light. There you go.
So for the first great moment of the movie, I mean, there's lots of great moments building up to this, but the first great moment is when he goes down the hill full speed.
Yes. And now Paul Rudd, obviously, we have to mention, he famously made this into a viral sort of sensation of always bringing the clips to Conan O'Brien show.
No, it's the same clip over and
that's
over.
what I'm saying. It's this clip.
Yes.
Over and over and over again, no matter what.
You've been showing that stupid clip on my show.
Thank you.
For, I think, 15 years. It's from a movie called Mac and Me. Oh. And you always convince me you're not going to show it again.
It's a hell of a thing because most of that, obviously, before he goes over the cliff, was done by this kid. And you're like, you don't have a
be
kid
careful,
do
for sure.
stunts like.
And there's definitely parts where this is obviously not the kid.
No, it's totally it's a
either-
pair of clothes full of crumpled up newspaper.
Basically.
I don't even think it's a dummy. I think
It's like a dummy with a wig.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. McDonald's wouldn't front for the real stuntman. Though the wheelchair stunts in this movie are fabulous.
it's just a sweatshirt and a pair of jeans full of Big Macs.
Just stuff it full of fucking Big Macs. Oh, that's good.
Looked
That's
really
good.
realistic when it hit the water.
Oh my gosh! But they even slow it down. So he's heading down this. He's heading down this thing full speed. Of course, the
handle, the brake
breaks off,
Yeah.
and he flies off. And it's the most jump cut I've ever jumped. That has ever jumped.
Yes.
And it's just like him going down, and then boom, he's off the cliff.
Yeah.
He's off,
Oh, yeah.
and we're seeing this dummy that was like tied down to a wheelchair.
Yeah, just straight
fly.
falling.
And then they slow-mo it to the end and superimpose Max.
you really
seeing
want
it.
to. You really want to see that kid hit. You don't. It's just.
You don't want to fake it.
You don't want to fake it. You want it to seem as realistic as possible. And yeah, and then and
I had to watch this multiple times.
It's 'cause
I
it's
could
insane.
Not stop laughing.
yeah. And then Mac jumps in and saves him, and that's when it's sort of like, they're going to befriend each other.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Look, can we talk about Mac for a minute? Just the actual
You mean
design?
mysterious alien creature, Mac?
Yes, which kind of pops up out of
Also,
nowhere.
Big Mac.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
We got some,
Apparently, the producers were like, "That was accidental."
it was so not accidental. How much did that's the reason why McDonald's was like, okay, we'll do this.
Yeah.
You work in the Mac?
Yeah.
Oh man.
If you can work in Mac
In
we're
the
gonna do
title
this.
and the main character?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Because then you can call it the
Genius
Big
marketing.
Mac. And maybe it's like it's the sandwich, but maybe it's like the meat's flesh colored, so it looks like Mac.
Pour this thing out.
This
let's talk
alien
about Mac.
is there's a whole concept that's used in sort of like character design, especially if you're doing something, cute or whatever. And the term they actually use for it is kinshinshima, which basically means like childlike or child loved. And so, ready? Big head relative to body size is a plus. And as you're thinking about this, think about like Disney cartoon characters. Big head relative to body size, large forehead, large eyes, round cheeks, small chin, small nose. And you go, oh, then in theory, that should work out just fine, right?
Sure.
But then if you don't have somebody like the Muppet like creature shop make it,
Puppetry, yeah.
right? If you don't have them make it, then you are treading deeply into Uncanny Valley territory where we know the closer a thing looks like to being a human, but then the more sort of grotesque that it becomes, the more that it terrifies us to see it. Mm-hmm. Well, the guy who did the character design for the alien, his previous work was on the Friday the 13th movies. So again, if you're thinking to yourself, we want this thing to seem cute and cuddly, it does look quite a bit like the Jason Voorhees boy that jumps out of the water in the dream sequence.
Oh my God, that's
right?
so funny.
Very fleshy.
Yeah.
Even if they had just decided we're going to make him blue. If I was thinking about this when I was watching, I was like, if they had just been blue, would be fine, right? If they were like Smurf blue,
Yeah.
it'd probably be, I mean, it still wouldn't be a good movie, but it probably wouldn't give you that gut-wrenching terror that it does when you're like, every time you see the dad, you're like,
it's like,
that's an adult male that's naked standing over children.
Guillermo del Toro, why don't you do the new Barney movie?
Yeah, perfect. And he's like, so it'll be Barney, but it's gonna have eyes on its hands. Like, you'd be like, no, never mind. Like, if they would have had, if Mac would have been a sock puppet with button eyes, it would have been less terrifying than this thing.
Another example of terrible, stupid adults in this movie are the doctors throughout this movie. So
Oh, yes.
he gets this doctor and like thinks he's seeing things. He's like, just take this mild sedative and go to sleep.
Yeah, that'll do.
We'll talk about that stuff later.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in a wheelchair. You're probably crazy
There's
anyway.
probably some weirdness going on with you.
So yeah, it's just like constantly terrible, stupid adult decisions. The mom is the worst though, by far.
Oh yeah.
And then the fact that she comes home or she wakes up one morning and the forest is gone and everything's clean. And
You guys cleaned up.
They put in a new door. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And she's like, thanks, guys. Did you hear
Where
me
did
with
they
the
get the
did
new
you,
door?
Did you see me borrow your credit card to go get that door and then go like
Yeah.
banging on the
Yeah,
hinges and
yeah. Nope, it all showed back up.
Thanks,
Everything's
guys.
fine.
You're the best.
You guys are the best.
You knew I was stressed out. You could see that. You took the trees back outside. Everything's cool.
Now, this whole time, Mac has been trying to apparently like get this message across by leaving straws everywhere with daisies in the
They
top
trap
of them.
him though with Coke.
That's the other thing that he gets sucked up into. Forgot about the vacuum cleaner. That sequence actually was very reminiscent to me of an early scene in. So weird. No, Poltergeist actually.
Oh, I mean, they live in the Poltergeist.
I was going to say
neighborhood.
this
It's
is
down
this
the
is
street.
right next to Cuesta Verde. It
Yeah,
has to be.
absolutely.
It has to be right next to Cuesta Verde. But we have the little girl neighbor in the football helmet.
Yeah.
They're in the 80s kitchen.
yeah.
She's sliding around up the wall and
That's
across
right,
the
in the
ceiling.
vacuum. That's
And I
right.
was like, and the lighting's all weird and sort of blue and pinkish.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, this is giving me like a weird homage to
Yeah.
that early scene in
Absolutely, that's
Poltergeist.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
But yeah, this is definitely some.
There
This is
they
the
are.
Freeling family. But yeah, definitely Cuesta Verde meets the neighborhood in E.T. I think this, Northern California suburb, it's a very classic Spielbergian sort of
No doubt.
area.
Another ET steal is when he gets out of the vacuum. There's like a light shining and his little hand comes up.
That's right.
And I was like, you're fucking straight up stealing that from E.T. Oh my God. How is it not that apparent?
Stop the presses.
Yeah.
I figured it out. I've cracked the code, everyone.
So, Mom still doesn't believe. Eric's kind of made friends with him a little bit.
Yes.
But he still escapes and runs away.
Yes.
And so Mom and Eric go on a run.
Yeah.
And there's this huge montage
Oh my God.
of what is the name of the song? Be My Friend Forever.
Yeah. By what's the guy's
don't know.
name? I have it.
Let's go ahead and take a quick listen.
Yeah, let's go ahead and listen to it.
So take me along. I swear I'll be strong if you take me wherever you go. I wanna learn the things that you know.
It sounds like a song from Karate Kid.
I was gonna say he's like the what's the singer from Chicago?
Yeah.
Peter Cetera. It's like
Yeah.
it's like the poor man's Peter Cetera.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, he's like, almost got that thing within.
But it's something that happens later in the movie as well. But it's like they're singing what's happening in the movie.
Yes.
They're like, "You got a friend now. He's a little alien." It's like it's not quite on the nose as that, but it's like
Well, because what isn't it a Chris Christopherson song? Who did the song for E.T.? Or it's not for E.T., but the Heartlight song or Turn on Your Heartlight?
come back again. I want you to stay next time. Oh, sometimes the world ain't kind when people get lost like you and me. I just made a friend. Turn on your heart light, let it shine wherever you go. Let it make a happy glow for all the world to see.
But they have this montage of him and his mom running. I mean, he's not running.
It's fine.
Through the, but that's all the thing. It's not like a getting better montage. It's just like
no, she's just like, let's go for
song.
a run. Yeah.
And it's like a minute and a half.
And then Max, for some reason, he's spent all this time trying to be inconspicuous, and then he decides to jump into like a little remote control, like one of those like go-go Power Wheels like cars, and all the dogs are chasing after
That's
him,
right.
and he's
Yep, the
cruising
dogs.
around, and I'm like, you've spent all this time like hiding under beds and stuff, and now you're like, it's fine.
Well, the
I'm just gonna-"
government's starting to scope out their house, and it's getting a little risky, right?
Yes,
it's
it
getting
is.
a little like, oh, they know.
Yes, by the two stupidest FBI
so-
agents. Like,
Yeah, I mean, but they're on the case. At least they're in the right neighborhood.
yeah, it's about time.
But the so they're not that stupid. They just can't capture anyone. We get this scene where he comes out and like he wants to hide Max, so he dresses him up in this fucking teddy bear costume.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Because he's like, oh, isn't he a little old to have a teddy? And I'm like, first of all, it's as big as him.
Yep, it's a child.
It's a child inside of a Halloween costume. It is the weirdest. I'm like,
And to think that, and the mom's like, does he always move? Or like, oh, it's one of those animatronic, oh, he's got a new chip in him. And she's like, he's crazy.
I
Huh?
guess so. It's just like a Teddy Ruxpin.
Cool.
Oh my god.
Another stupid parent.
Yes. Yeah.
Non-stop.
Well, and again, so I want to go back to this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so
Let's talk about it.
so far, Mac has been, again, it seems like even though he is a precocious little alien, he's pretty good at hiding and keeping a low profile. But once the people are dancing at the McDonald's that they get to,
Hold on, yeah.
All
Let's
bets
talk
are
about
off.
this party at McDonald's.
yeah,
I mean, luckily that's where they're going. And this was another one-up scene.
yeah.
This is like, first off, you get a cutaway, which seems like a Teen Witch cutaway, where they're rapping in the streets.
Yes.
And
Oh,
it's like
that's a good comparison. Totally.
And
Teen
you're
Witch.
like, whoa, what is this random song? But okay.
Yeah.
And you, it's
And
like
then it
this
keeps
b-boy
going.
dance troupe.
And going.
And
going. Yeah, it's
there's
like
a
they're-
full fucking
They're dance battling in the parking lot of the McDonald's.
and they're into it, and they're
Oh,
all
yeah,
over the
yeah.
place. And
God, Teen Witch is such a good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
To the corniness happening here.
But so you're just like, they just throw this in
Yeah.
after the teddy bears in the car, and we are arriving at this birthday party, and this is the coolest McDonald's ever.
This is where everybody hangs out.
I mean, not only
This
that,
is where the kid from Fargo was going. Like, it is the
yeah.
coolest McDonald's.
he sees his friends there.
Yeah, he sees his friends there.
What do you think they do there? They don't drink milkshakes, I assure you.
But yeah, I mean, it is like the coolest McDonald's on the planet. And the thing of it is
No
like,
McDonald's. First off, no one has their fucking birthday at McDonald's. Maybe they did back then.
but if they do, the real Ronald McDonald doesn't show up.
That's
the
true.
real Ronald
is?
McDonald.
Oh,
that's
wonderful.
the one. That is from, and
It
apparently
definitely looks like him.
Apparently, in that producer's original, like where he was talking to McDonald's, and they were like, "You can have like all of our identity for the film and all this." They were like, "Our one caveat is Ronald McDonald cannot appear," and that was like the one rule that he broke. He was like,
Yeah, I was going like, he's in the movie, though.
"But that's literally. I mean, think about this. How often have we seen that actor, who I don't know his name, but that actor that plays the real Ronald
I would
McDonald?"
feel worried about you if you knew.
If I knew his name, I want to say his first name's Everett or Emmett. I know that much. But here's the thing.
He's going to put it on the screen.
Yeah, I'll put it. It's going to be on here
now.
But isn't it weird? I was thinking about this while I was watching it the other night, and I was like, it's weird how much I've seen that actor through my childhood. In all the old, like, oh, the Chicken McNuggets are singing a Christmas
That's
Carol
funny.
or whatever. I'm like, I've seen that guy so much. So the second you see him, you're like, ooh, that's really him.
But even the people taking the orders, which we don't really see that orders getting taken, but they're like DJing this birthday party.
Yeah. And it turns into a full-blown choreographed dance sequence, which, may I just say, regardless of whether or not your hearts were in the right place, producers, when you made this for the Ronald McDonald House.
Thank you, by the way.
You bunch of savages. You bunch of sickos. You put a dance sequence and our main actor sitting in the background in his wheelchair clapping his hands.
Ooh, I
That
didn't
is
even
so
think
horrible.
about that.
Why would you do that?
Oh, I think they do him an even worse disservice later, but that is a great point.
I'm like, what are you doing? And he's just back there like, yay. Even the little boy from another planet gets to dance on the
Oh yeah,
on the counter of the
in
McDonald's.
his teddy bear costume is on the
popping
counter,
and
on
locking
the counter.
and shucking
Yeah,
and
I mean,
jiving.
you might as well be Pee-wee doing the tequila up there, right?
It would have been great to have a little homage where he goes up onto his little bear toe tips and goes across.
They're not about homages in this movie, okay?
No, they're just about
straight up stealing. Anyways, everybody is dancing, even the football players. There's a fucking DJ, and there's McDonald's and Coke, and just so much wonderfulness all
just
together.
The 80s threw up all over this movie.
That's a great
amazing.
way to put it. This was the moment I thought, man, they jumped the shark here. Like, what happened? Like, this
Is it the
movie was
dance
already
sequence?
going off the rails, and then they throw in this random dance sequence, and they hired all of these dancers.
Yeah.
There's at least 50 dancers.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
That's a big fucking expensive
And they're
scene.
all like standing up, like the way that one does in a musical, where it's like, oh man, these guys are cutting a rug. I want in, and then pretty soon it's like all of them. They all know the exact same moves. And like,
One of my favorite subtle things that happens is that some of the dancers are like taunting the cops, and they're like, "Ooh,
That's right, that's right.
and they're like, "Oh." And then, the cops followed them, of course, and we get our next chase scene.
yes, another chase scene.
Just as good, if not better, than the first.
Yeah, I think
Actually,
it
there
is.
hasn't been a chase scene yet.
Well, there was just like
It was him flying down.
It's kind of a yeah.
flying down the canyon.
Well, I think there's the very beginning where there's all the car accidents and stuff. That one's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess
they
I
got
was thinking
helicopters.
with Eric.
Yeah.
Because
Helicopters.
chasing with Eric is different than chasing normal people, because he's got a mission.
Yeah.
He does not want to sacrifice Max. He doesn't want to give Mac up. These are the government bad guys
Yeah.
that want to take him. So he is protecting Mac here, and
They're
he gets
like
away
keys
again.
from ET.
He gets away again, and these guys are running full speed, but
Yeah.
he's just one step ahead of these motherfuckers.
You know what would have been a great power right about then? Is if Mac could make the wheelchair fly.
Oh, I agree. And they go across the moon, maybe, or maybe it's the sun. Maybe it's the
They go
sun, not the
across
moon.
sun. Just to put a little twist in it.
Still daytime. So in the midst of this, he is flying down streets. He's flying down canyons. He conveniently gets on the street and grabs a hold of a truck,
Yep.
Marty McFly style,
Yep.
and flies right to his mom's work at Sears and
Yes.
gets rolled right in there.
And she's like, Eric, what's on your lap?
No. Before this, we have to touch on this.
Okay.
I hope you grabbed hold of this, because this was the best subtle moment of the whole movie.
Oh.
It's when he's flying in, and the guys are falling all over themselves, and getting toys are getting knocked over, and
Yeah.
they're falling down.
It's bedlam.
Mom's going up the escalator with this creepy dude that's probably in his 60s or 70s, and she says to him, "So how long have you been in lingerie?"
Yes.
And then nothing. And then that's it. We never reference it again.
You're like, what does Mom do at Sears?
Yeah, but like, why is that the line you chose to put in the fucking movie? That I have so many questions.
Yeah.
But then she sees it's Eric, and
Yeah.
he's flying by. Mac, of course, gets the doors to shut because they're electronic. and they end
And
up throwing
that's
the
his
TV.
power. Yeah, that's his
And he
power.
gets further away. And,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm just overwhelmed with this movie. It was so much. I've never had so much fun, though. I had to pause and rewind more than most movies I've seen in a long time. So we kind of get them, in the midst of this chase. His heroic brother grabs them out of his new girlfriend is driving the van, and
yoinks
he does
him.
he does
Yoinks
a
him
slide
right
a
off of the-
slide
Yeah.
door a side door slide and grabs both Mac and the wheelchair and brings them in, and they get away from the bad guys. I can't believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they go and find
what Mac's been trying to tell them all along.
the whole time, and they find his family in this
daisies inside of
abandoned
the
mine or
flowers
cave or something.
Because it's the windmills
It's
of
a
the
sign.
power. Yeah,
it's
see,
wonderful. And they find his family.
Yes.
And they're basically dying, and they bring him Coke.
Yeah.
More Coke.
Because they
Just
know that that's
magical.
what's gonna. Because apparently that's what the planet they're from just produces.
Well, they're
naturally.
sucking something out in the very first scene of the
It's
movie. Out of
Coca-Cola.
It must be. They live on Planet Coke.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they didn't do a pullback reveal when the satellite was flying away and it just had the big Coke sign stamped into the side of the planet.
I'm just impressed that Eric ran away from the cops again.
The kid has got some good upper
He's
body
got some
strength.
balls.
He's got some good upper body
He
strength.
does. He's rolling. I mean, he's going 30 miles an hour passing cars on this fucking wheelchair.
That doesn't have a brake. The brake
Um,
broke. Remember, the brake broke earlier on. I don't think that mom had a chance to fix it with how busy she was at her Sears.
So, we get the aliens. They bring them. They stop, of course, at the gas station for something.
Yep.
And then they get out.
That's how they know.
And they're
like,
on their tail
"Oh,
already.
yeah,
and
yeah."
then they blow up some. No. They go to the store and all these
and the
people
dad
see
the
them.
dad takes the cop's gun.
Yes, great idea.
I was like, in that moment, I was like, it's like it crept up on me.
The
I went-
alien dad, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
It crept up on me. I was like, oh, this is the climax. I was like, we were already
Oh,
here.
yeah. Oh,
what time is it?
oh, yeah.
This is the climax. And so this creepy ass, totally buck naked man.
I
Alien.
think you could argue that the climax is after this.
That is true. But he gets the gun, and now there's like this standoff with the cops. It's so
everyone's like,
embarrassing.
"No, Eric!"
It's
And
so-
Eric, yeah. So the alien doesn't know what it's doing. It just grabs it, and
Yeah.
that now it's even more of a threat than it already was.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
So they end up chasing him, chasing them out. They run out. Boom. Shit blows up.
Yep.
And monumental shit blows up.
Yes.
It's a massive
It's a
explosion.
huge explosion. Where I'm
And
like,
Eric, this
there's
is right
no
after
way
Eric
that they've
again
gotten everybody
ran
out of that
away
store.
from the cops.
Yes.
This is the scene I was talking about, and he runs away, and then the explosion happens, and you see this this shitty Photoshop silhouette of a kid in a wheelchair, and it's obviously fake because
Yeah.
he's so close to the fire.
And he just kind of
like
flops over.
2D, and
Now,
he flops
if
over.
I may-
and another shitty doctor arrives. He's
Yes.
like, feels his chest, and he's like, he's gone.
He's
There's
gone.
nothing we can do.
Yeah. Thanks, Doc. Now, do you know about what I'm about to tell you?
Is it about the Japanese version?
Yes.
Yes, I do know.
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, you can watch it.
Oh.
You can watch it. So in the
explain, please explain.
Japanese version, because again, like you said, there's this weird matte like animation or something of Eric in his wheelchair that apparently he just dies from being near the explosion.
Which is realistic.
Yeah, he just flops over and there's nothing we can do. He's dead. It broke his heart.
Yeah.
This,
But don't worry.
Just like-
in this movie, the aliens come back and
yeah,
save
just
him.
just like Amidala Skywalker, it broke his heart. He died of a broken heart
That's what he did.
because he thought the aliens died. No, so
No.
in the Japanese version.
But let's explain what's in this version.
Okay.
Is that everyone thinks the aliens are dead in this explosion, but of
Yeah.
course they're not.
No, they're fine.
They're
were
fine. They
saved.
walk through the fire.
Yes.
They're fine. No problem. That rubbery skin you were talking about. No
Silly
no
putty,
burns.
just walked right
just
through it.
walked right through it. And they come back and save him. Mm-hmm. And of course they do, right? And they levitate and do all this crazy
And
shit.
they whistle and they make weird hand gestures, and then he's fine.
Oh, and then
In the
mom finally believes. Now.
That's where she's like, and he's like, no, let him do it, let them do it, and then they save him. Now, the Japanese version,
Her son is dead.
yes. I don't care about aliens. My
Her son in a
died.
wheelchair
Yeah.
is dead.
So in the Japanese version, what actually is supposed to have happened is a little darker, which is that the cops are going to fire at Mac because he runs forward to try and get to Eric.
Yeah.
And Eric pushes his wheelchair out around the cop car, and one of the cops stumbles and drops his gun, and it fires off the ground, and we see it pierce Eric's chest. We see a bullet hole. I'm going to show it right here. We see a bullet hole go poof, like into his shirt, and then he dies. And you're like, yeah, it's probably a good idea you guys decided to change that, because that's a little bit dark for this kids movie. I will say this: it's a good thing that these producers decided early on to hire an actor who had an actual disability and was in a wheelchair, because you know for a fact, if that kid wasn't actually wheelchair bound, that they would have had it so that he could walk at the end of this movie.
I was gonna say,
You know for a fact.
my only
You know they would have done that.
my ending would have been that they bring him back still, but he can walk. Like, why would you bring him back from the dead and not heal that? Right?
He can walk, but he has Mac legs. He has like the weird little. Like, sorry, we didn't have the capability to make human legs for him. This is what we do.
But like, for at the very least, for him to at least get his own dance number, right? He needed his own dance number.
That would have been the most controversial thing ever. Two things that would have been super controversial. A, either at the end he can walk again. This would be the most messed up movie on the planet. Or B, they try to save him and they can't. And they're like, and then they
Both
stop
are bad.
and they all look at each other and they go, "Ugh," and they just beam away, and that's the end of the movie.
Oh, dear Lord. Let's get
Instead,
to the, let's
what
get to
does
the,
happen, Vulture?
You know, we skip ahead 6 months, maybe something like that.
However long it takes to get a visa.
And we're in this court, and this judge is
It's a naturalization ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're becoming American citizens, and they're dressed up, and to me, this is the biggest bullshit of the movie. Not because of they went there and fucking actually got these aliens
Yeah.
to do this, is that no way the world would fucking accept that.
No.
No way in world would this xenophobic world.
And I don't want to sound super racist right here, but they still don't speak English. Like, how did he get a driver's license? Can he read? Like, what job is he possibly going to get?
Again, so many questions.
Another family on welfare.
But there's
That's
no
all
way,
it is.
no way the general consensus got around these aliens.
there's no way.
And been like, oh, he dresses like me. He's wearing a suit. Yeah, he should be fine.
It's totally fine.
These are the illegal immigrants they've been talking about. Illegal aliens, I mean.
Literally.
Yeah.
They're not, though. They went through the proper channels,
But
Vulture.
don't worry.
They went through the proper channels.
Don't worry. Max got on in his McKids shirts.
That's right. See? There you go.
His oversized T-shirts where he looks
Look,
like
all I'm saying is I'm fine with them being here. I just want them to go through the proper channels, and these guys do.
Yeah, for sure. Last thing we'll say is we get them driving away at the end before the credits roll in a pink Cadillac like a normal family. And it says, we'll be back soon.
Yeah. No, you won't. Will you? When will you be back?
I'm so glad they kept that in there, because they could have easily just like, I don't know. I
Again,
guess
it's
too
another
late.
one of these things where it's like best of intentions. They were like, "Oh man, we're getting a sequel out
And
of
then
this thing."
and the song is "You're Not a Stranger Anymore."
Again, it's a pro-immigration movie.
All right, guys, like and subscribe. Thank you. Punishment Review was so much fun. We had a blast.
Yeah.
Rate us on iTunes. Email us. Do all that stuff. Like and subscribe. Like I said.
Yes.
We are going to start our new festival next week with Surreal Comedy Festival.
Surreal comedies. Yes.
Excited to do that. We will see you next time.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
So I heard you went on the Legendarium.
I did go on the Legendarium.
How was that?
It was great.
What did you guys talk about?
We talked about...
This is a podcast from Craig Hanks, who was on our Sci-Fi Tropes episode.
Yeah, it was on the first 101 that we did. We talked about video game movies and why they always suck. And it was great. It was a great conversation.
Any great nuggets you can share without spoiling the episode?
I definitely brought up some stuff I think that maybe they hadn't talked about before. I think that in my job, like helping out to build curriculum for video game design, I think that I had some insight maybe into part of the reason why it doesn't work. This idea of that, like, when you're writing the storyline for video games, you have to write multiple threads and then allow the character to follow one, and that's the thrill of it. And I think the one analogy I gave is that frustration in video games is really thrilling, but to watch it, frustration in a movie is not thrilling.
Great.
Like you don't want to watch a character spend 20 minutes trying to figure out how to open a door.
Nice.
It's locked.